Hello, welcome to another video from Traveller's Guide IELTS. These are ESL practice videos to help you in your preparation for IELTS, TOEFL, IGCSE, Cambridge English, Pearson test or any other English language proficiency test. Please press the thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more, switch on the subtitles and leave a comment. In this video we are looking at some more confusion words. Confusion is when two things get mixed up, and in English it's quite common for people to use one word when really they mean a different word. This might be because the words sound the same or they have similar meanings or spellings. And we're going to look at some different examples. This is part 2 of confusion words. You can check out my other video with part 1 on this playlist. But for now, let's look at some more examples. The first set of confusion words we're going to look at deal with pronunciation. Here we go. First, we have plane and plan. Plane and plan. Plane short for an aeroplane, as you can see in the picture there. Plan when you decide you're going to do something, and you can see that the only difference in the spelling is the E on the end. Generally speaking, in English, an E changes the vowel sound before it. So plan, P-L-A-N, has an A sound, but the E on the end changes the A to an A. And now we have plane. Plane, plan. The next one is coach and couch. Coach, couch. A coach could be a person who teaches sports, or it could mean a large comfortable bus, whereas couch is another word for a sofa or a settee. It's a long comfortable chair where 2 or 3 people can sit together. Coach, couch. Next we have salon and saloon. The only difference in the spelling of the words is an extra O in the second one, but that really does change the sound that we're making. Salon has the emphasis at the start. Could be somewhere you get your hair cut, for example, in a salon, or have a beauty treatment, whereas saloon has the emphasis on the second part. And a saloon could be a bar, somewhere to relax and have a drink. Next we have angry and hungry. Angry, hungry. Just the start of these words are different, the rest is the same. And for that reason, people sometimes say the wrong one. So angry when you're mad about something, hungry when you want to eat. Then we have daughter and doctor. Daughter, doctor. Some people get these mixed up, not because of the meaning, but just because of the pronunciation. And that's partly because the GH in the middle of daughter is silent. And a GH in some other words can make a K sound. But here, no sound at all. Daughter, doctor. Here we have island and Iceland. Iceland is a country in the north of Europe. As the name suggests, it's pretty cold there because it's so far north. And on the left we can see an island. This is sometimes mispronounced because people try to say the S, and you end up with Iceland or Island. But the S is silent. It should be island. It should not sound the same as Iceland. Confusingly enough, the country of Iceland is also an island. Here we have carton, cartoon. A carton is a small paper box that a drink might come in, whereas cartoon, as you can see in the picture, is a kind of animated TV show. The difference in spelling is just one letter O. Carton, cartoon. Next we have medal and metal. These words are almost identical. Just be very careful with the D in medal becoming a T in metal. So just pronounce that little T in the middle there. Medals can be made of metal, which can also be more confusing. But at the Olympics you win the gold medal. not the gold metal. Then we have patience and patience. Okay, this one is also very similar. The difference in the sound is just the ending. So patience is when you're happy to wait for something and you don't get too annoyed, whereas patients are people who are sick in a hospital waiting for treatment. So patience ends in a s, whereas patience ends in a ts. So again, there's just a little T sound that we need to include in the word patience. Patience, patience. Next we have repetition, reputation. So repetition is when something happens over and over again. For example, the picture says repetition, 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 repetition. And reputation is what some people think about you. You can have a good reputation if people think you're a good person, or a bad reputation if you've done some bad things. Repetition, reputation. The next set of confusion words focus on spelling. Here we have 3 words, and as you can see, the spelling is very similar. Lighting, lightening, lightening. Lighting is where you put some electric lights up to make it brighter, or it can describe how bright a room is. You might say the lighting in here is lovely. Whereas lightning is electricity coming from the sky, usually during a thunderstorm, and lightening means to make something less heavy. For example, those helium balloons are lightening her load. So this is a good example of when spelling is really important. Next we have staff and stuff. So staff, S-T-A-F-F, are all the people who work in a place, whereas stuff, S-T-U-F-F, is just a general word for different kinds of things. Notice that both of these words are uncountable. So you can't have a staff or a stuff. You can't have many staffs or many stuffs. We could talk about the staff when you talk about everyone in general, or a member of staff if you're talking about one individual. The next one is morning and morning. Morning, the beginning of the day. Morning is spelled the same apart from an additional letter U after the O. And mourning is when you're feeling sad about the loss of something. For example, after someone has died. So watch your spelling with these 2 words. Then we have angel and angle. So an angel, a little heavenly being with a halo. Angle, as you can see, a mathematical term describing the size of a corner in degrees. The 2 words are anagrams, it's just the last 2 letters are in a different position. Again, we can see the letter E in angel changing the A to an A sound, whereas in angle, it is right at the end of the word. There are too many consonants in between, so that remains an A sound. I have actually seen people with bad tattoos when they've tried to write something like, "My mother is my angel," and they've accidentally had it tattooed on them as "My mother is my angle." That's a big mistake. Here we have wandering and wondering. Again, the pronunciation is almost identical, but the spelling here is important. Wandering with an A means walking around. Maybe you don't know where you're going. You're just going for a leisurely stroll, looking to see what you can find. Wondering with an O means you're thinking about something. Maybe thinking about what to have for dinner, what's going to happen in the future, that kind of thing. Wandering, wondering. Then we have lose and loose. L-O-S-E, lose, the opposite of win. L-O-O-S-E, loose, means the opposite of tight or firm. In terms of pronunciation, the first one, lose, has a Z sound for the S, whereas in loose, the S is more of a S sound. But pay particular attention when you are spelling these. Next we have close, clothes, cloths. Close means nearby, not far away. Clothes, things that you wear. Cloths, small pieces of material that you use for cleaning. This one can be tricky in several ways. I've seen people write the word cloths when they're trying to write the word clothes, so they miss the E out by mistake. And the word close has a very similar pronunciation to clothes. So this one's really spelling and pronunciation. Close, clothes, cloths. Next we have super and supper. Super as in Superman there in the picture, just one P. Supper is a meal that you have late in the evening with two P's. S-U-P-P-E-R. Supper, super. They don't sound the same, but people often get the spelling wrong. If you had a superhero called Supperman, he'd probably just come round for dinner late at night instead of saving the world. Then we have dairy and diary. These two words are also anagrams, the same 5 letters, just the I and the A are the other way around. So dairy refers to milk products, whereas diary is a book that you write down different things every day. Dairy, diary. And the last one in this section, we have alone and along. Alone with an E on the end means you're on your own or by yourself, whereas along with a G on the end, you could say to go along with someone or to travel along the road. In this set of confusion words, these are words that people often get the meaning mixed up. The first one in this group is conversation and conservation. A pair of long words here that look very similar. In fact, the letters are the same, just in a slightly different order. Conversation is a word that means to talk to someone, or two people talking together is a conversation, whereas conservation means looking after the environment. I think it's easy to look at one of these words and misunderstand the meaning as being the other one if you don't look at it very carefully. So if you see one of these words in a listening question or a writing question, just make sure you spend the time to look at it very closely and make sure you understand the meaning. Then we have long, tall and high. Now all of these kind of mean the same thing, but they're used in different ways. If you're describing the height of a person, we would always say tall. For example, my friend is very tall. You wouldn't describe a person as being long or high. You could use long to describe something horizontal, such as a long road or a long river. And in this picture, you can also say someone has long hair. Long could also mean a large amount of time. So I've lived here for a long time. Whereas high could be used to describe a building, in this case a very high building, or a mountain, although you could also use tall to describe a building. Tall buildings, high buildings, both okay, but not high people. Here we have sugar and sweets, and in American English, sweets would be called candy. The confusion here is that sweets are made of sugar, but they are not called sugar. So especially in China, I hear a lot of people say, "Would you like a sugar?" when they mean, "Would you like a sweet?" Sugar is this white grainy sweet substance. So it does get more confusing because sugar is sweet, but the substance itself is called sugar. These little candies made out of sugar are called sweets. Here we have accept, accept, expect. This is a very tricky set of words and people can sometimes misunderstand the meaning. Accept means that you can receive something or believe something. For example, I accept your apology. Accept means everyone apart from that one. So if I was running a class and all of the students are there at the beginning, apart from Tom, I could say all of the students were on time except Tom, or except for Tom. And expect means to think about something in the future. This is what you think will happen. For example, I expect to get an 8.5 in IELTS. The example says, don't expect miracles. Sometimes we can do nothing except accept our fate. The next one says different and difference. Now really the meaning here is very similar. They're just used in different ways because different is an adjective and difference is a noun. So you can describe one thing as being different from another, and you can talk about the difference between two things. So difference as a noun should have a or the before it, whereas different describes what something is. Here we have jet lag and time difference. Now, for some people this might not be a problem, but in Chinese, the translation is exactly the same. They don't have different words for these two things. Jet lag is a feeling. It's when you've travelled a long way and maybe you wake up at the wrong time because the country you're now in has a different time from the one you left, and it makes you feel sleepy at the wrong time. It can make you feel quite unwell. And that's because of the time difference. So time difference describes the different time in different places. For example, you can see in these clocks, New York has a different time from London, so we can say it has a time difference. Time difference describes the state, jet lag describes the feeling. Here we have fourth and fourth. Fourth, F-O-R-T-H, means forward. So go forth, go forward, go on. Whereas fourth, F-O-U-R-T-H, means the fourth in a series, first, second, third, fourth. This is a spelling issue, but also people might see the first one and think it means the second one. Next, roof and ceiling. Now these are kind of describing the same things, but from a different point of view. So from the outside, the top of your house is called the roof. But from the inside, the top of your room is the ceiling. So in the first picture, we can see the house has a grey slated roof. On the second picture, we can see a ceiling fan. They're almost like two sides of the same coin, but they each have a different name, so we must get that right. Next we have rise and raise. So in the picture, someone is waving a flag. So we might talk about raising a flag. So raise is the verb to go up. You lift an object, you raise an object, you raise a flag. Whereas rise is the action of it going up. So you can see the meaning is very similar, and this is why people get mistakes. If we look at these two example sentences though, he watched his balloon rise into the air. So he's not actually actively raising the balloon, it's going up by itself. So we use rise. In the second one, Sam raised his hand to ask a question. So the hand is being raised by Sam himself. He is actively doing something here. So this time we use raise. Rise can also be used to mean wake up or get out of bed. And raise can also be used to describe an increase in your salary. And the final one, we have homework and housework. Now the pictures make this very clear. So homework is when you're doing tasks for school. Housework is when you are cleaning and tidying up. This is confusing because home and house could refer to the same thing, but homework and housework are definitely different. Well, that brings another Confusion Words video to an end. I hope you found these words interesting. Studying these words can improve your vocabulary, your spelling, and your pronunciation, which can improve your score in many different aspects of English. Thanks for watching. Remember to press the thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time for another ESL English practice video with Traveller's Guide IELTS. Goodbye for now.